Welcome to the new rolling videos from me, Nick,
Mark and George here at Glenmore Lodge.
In part 2, we tried to build a roll from scratch. How did it go for you? If you got your first roll, well done. Or maybe you worked your way through all of those sequences and it still doesn't work. Frustrating, isn't it? But it will be all the sweeter when you eventually get it. In this video, we're going to take a look at some common rolling problems and some ways to fix them. We're going to share some ideas for coaching rolling, and once you've got a roll, we're going to look at how to challenge it in the pool. So, for starters, here are a few common problems. If you can get a friend to video you, it's so much easier to suss out what's going on. Firstly, your brain and body are just fried. You've been trying to roll for the last 2 hours. Chill out. Go do something else. Have a walk, have a gin and tonic, well, maybe not. Park it and come back to it later. It's often much better to learn to roll in lots of short sessions than trying to cram it all at once. Bringing the head up first. The boat starts to roll, but then stalls as you bring your head up and you return majestically back beneath the water. Go back and look at all those drown yourself to save yourself exercises we had in the second video. Sometimes we get a beautiful setup position, but we've just got the wrong angle on the blade, which means it then wants to just slice its way down towards the bottom of the pool. Good ways to avoid this are going and doing some sculling, or you can think about lining your knuckles up with the blade and then thinking about where your knuckles are pointing. Often we just need to bend our wrists over a little bit more before we start the roll. As a last resort, I could fix it for them by twisting the paddle, but I don't want to get them completely dependent on me doing that. The blade pulling downwards, but not outwards. Again, we could go back to the exercise where we're supporting people and letting them reach out from the boat. We could go back to the exercise using a float where we're getting people to scrape that float over the surface of the water, coming out and away from the boat, not trying to sink it. Sometimes the blade pulling down is also caused by the backhand punching upwards. At that point, I'm sticking a sponge underneath that back armpit and training them to try and keep that there as they roll. Sometimes that blade pulling down is just because they've got so much tension in their upper body. Sometimes here just giving the paddle a little bit of a shake, telling them that that's their cue to relax a little bit more. Finally, we can go back to all those drown yourself to save yourself exercises in the second video, or we can guide it for them. But if we're guiding it for them, let's work from above and just gentle finger pressure guiding the blade out. Sometimes the body movement looks lovely, but the boat just doesn't go anywhere. Often that's about outfitting, so go back to the first video, check you've got your boat outfitted right, check you've got connection at your knees, check you've got connection at your feet. We can train our lower body to do the right things by going back to all those Shakira edging exercises that we had in the first video. We can focus on the lower body. So in the roll that we're doing, the paddle side knee and all the muscles on that side of the body are what's bending us over into the start position. But then as soon as we start the roll, it's the other knee, it's the non-paddle side knee and all that muscles on the other side of the body that do all of the work. It's almost like I'm trying to drive my non-paddle side knee into my paddle side elbow. Sometimes we have a roll where the movement looks nice, but they end up leaning on the back deck at the end. Now, depending on where you paddle and what boat you paddle, this might not be a problem. But if you're paddling on bouncy seas or on white water, coming up leaning on your back deck isn't great. You're going to have to do something to get your body forwards again. One way to practice that last bit, we can stay upright and just practice slicing the blade out in an arc, making sure that we finish looking down the shaft and making sure that we've got that top elbow tucked forwards. Another way to practice that end movement is just to imagine someone smeared something very nasty on the paddle shaft and just keep that paddle away from your nose, away from your body. Okay, a few coaching tips. So these are less about the technique and more about dealing with people. Some people just love to overthink it. Almost no one can think for a role and then do it in real time. You've got to feel it. That's why we've been using a load of drills and using some vivid imagery. We've been trying to communicate with that bit of your brain that you dance with, not the bit of the brain that solves crosswords. You'll get much further if you can focus on really nailing each exercise, making it feel effortless. It works much better than trying to rush through or skip steps. If you're working with more than one person, pair people up, get them working together. It's not just the person who's rolling who benefits, the person who's helping to rescue can also be observing and learning. If you're not sure what's going on, video it. Just for the ease of filming, we've been mostly using whitewater kayaks, but all of these exercises still apply in touring kayaks and sea kayaks too. For different boats, for sea kayaks, just let it settle a little bit more. With a buoy shade on, you often get the first 90 degrees of your roll for free. And if it's not working for you, maybe just go a little bit slower than you might do in your whitewater boat. If you've got a roll that works, well done, celebrate. But the next job is to make it robust enough so that it still works when you go outside and go paddling. Here's a few exercises we can do in the pool to make our roll more reliable. Always gate to try in left and right, or we can lose the setup. One way to do that's by throwing the paddle in the air, catching it and immediately falling in. You can add on your paddling gear. You can get someone to push you in. If they're behind you, you don't even get to see what they're about to do. We can make life more exciting by looping a boat, doing a front somersault in it, and then you're going to have to react to that before you roll up. We can simulate moving water by adding some throw lines and just dragging you along the length of the pool. You'll probably find that it's much easier at that point to roll up on one side than the other. Finally, it's time to take it outside into the cold water.
Hope you enjoyed our series of rolling videos.
There's more videos on our channel where we actually take this stuff outside.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, that was really high pitched, wasn't it?